Christian Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Magic of Knowing What You Want, a practical guide to unearthing the wisdom of your desires by Tracey Gee. Narrated by Tracey Gee. Publisher's note: in this audio edition, you will hear references to examples and diagrams present in the print and ebook formats of the book. This book is dedicated to you. You deserve to be seen. Introduction. I never saw it coming. Unlike most people I knew, I had stayed in the same organization for my whole career, about 20 years, in large part because I loved the people I worked with. After dinner one evening at a conference, a colleague suggested I consider applying for a newly open VP role. I was aware of the opening, but it hadn't crossed my mind to apply since becoming a VP would mean jumping 2 levels of the hierarchy. Upon a second look, however, I noticed how I'd been feeling restless for a new challenge. I recalled past internal interviews that had been empowering experiences, even if they hadn't always landed me a new job per se, and I assumed this would be more of the same. The job was far from guaranteed, but I decided to apply anyway, motivated by the opportunity for learning and growth. After submitting my application, I was surprised to find that I was excited. Every new role I'd ever considered up until that point had come with a fair share of ambivalence. Previously, I'd always been able to identify at least one negative for every positive about a potential new job. But this time, I was eager to find creative solutions for the challenges I saw, and it felt exhilarating. It felt odd, but in a good way, to feel so energized about making a change. I started to daydream about preparing for the interview and making a case for what I might bring to the table. One evening, while I was chopping veggies for dinner, my phone blew up with a flurry of messages on a group work chat. We were discussing the scheduling of an unrelated upcoming meeting, but I realized some people on the thread were also making travel plans for job interviews. It dawned on me that the hiring process for the role I'd applied to was likely moving forward too, but I hadn't heard anything. I grabbed my computer to check my email but found no new messages, despite hitting the refresh button several times, even though I knew it didn't make sense to do so. I wanted to be optimistic, but I had to admit this was not a good sign. I'd known all along the job wasn't a lock, but given my experience and contributions, I thought I'd at least get the chance to interview. When I received the email a week later informing me I would not be moving forward in the selection process, I wasn't at all surprised, but I was still devastated. As high as my excitement had been, the low was far lower. For those who know what the Enneagram is, I once heard someone say you've never seen anybody as sad and dejected as an achievement-oriented type 3 who has failed, and it was like they were describing me. My friends told me they'd never seen me this way, and to be honest, neither had I. I began to spiral as I started to question things. I questioned my assumption that I would spend the rest of my career in this organization and considered the terrifying notion of leaving. I questioned why a colleague, a white man with the same job title and experience as me, had been granted an interview when I hadn't, and why this made me feel terrible, even if I was happy for him. I questioned why it didn't make me feel better when I asked for feedback about what I could have done to be a stronger candidate and was told nothing, that I was great but just needed a few more years. Most of all, I questioned what to do next in response to all of this, especially when one person told me it was my fault because I hadn't gamed my career the way men do, and according to them, I'd have to start playing those games if I ever wanted to get ahead. I questioned if being told for years that I was a hidden treasure wasn't the compliment it was intended to be, and whether it was instead a nice-sounding way to say I wasn't being seen. Having the process end unexpectedly and with opaque, conflicting narratives about why it had happened broke something in me in a way I didn't yet understand. A handful of people asked me to interview for other positions within the organization.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?